Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Joining us globally, welcome to PMI-PMOCP Masterclass on building a value-driven PMO. Guys, we had some technical difficulties today, so we have reposted the link to the new stream on YouTube and also on LinkedIn. So please join us using the new link and we apologize for the inconvenience. So, without further ado, let's dive in. My name is Samia Wakar, and I'm joining you live from Toronto. Before we begin, please drop your city and country in the chat. I would love to see where everyone is joining us from. So today's session is about one important shift. The modern PMO is no longer a reporting office. It's a value-driven service organization that helps business deliver strategy, manage transformation, and prove measurable impact. So without further ado, let's get started. This session is designed to give you a clear, practical starting point, whether you are exploring PMI-PMOCP for the first time or already thinking seriously about certifications. Today, we'll help you understand the journey, the mindset, and the value behind this credential. Over the next 2 hours, we will keep the focus practical. We will look at what PMI-PMOCP is, how the exam is structured, what the 6 echo domains cover, and most importantly, how this certification connects to the real work of building a value-driven PMO. I encourage you to stay active in the chat, share your thoughts, and reflect on your own PMO experience as we move through this session. So let's start by looking at what you will walk away from today's class. So we'll begin by understanding what PMI-PMOCP is, why the certification was introduced by PMI, and why specifically it focused on PMO professionals. From there, we'll discuss the exam structure, eligibility requirements, and how the certification is organized through the echo domains. Then we will spend time on one of the most important parts of the entire journey, the PMI mindset. One of the biggest mistake candidates make is treating PMI certification as a memorization exercise. PMI-PMOCP tests how you think in a modern PMO professional, which means customer centricity, value generation, governance thinking, service enablement, strategic alignment, and continuous improvement become critical themes throughout the exam. We will also walk through all 6 echo domains and connect them to real organizational realities, not just theoretical definitions. And finally, I will introduce you to the broader PMOCP learning journey and the PMO Value Ring framework, which connects the certification to complete PMO lifecycle from exploration and design all the way to value realization and continuous improvement. So by the end of today's session, you will walk away not only understanding the certification itself, but also understanding why PMOs are becoming increasingly strategic in modern organizations, especially in the age of AI, transformation, and project economy. So before we go deeper into the PMOCP framework, let me briefly introduce myself and the perspective I will bring. My name is Samia Wakar. As a professional, I have focused on project, program, portfolio, PMO governance, and enterprise transformation leadership across multiple industries, including technology, consulting, HR transformation in both public and private environments. I'm one of the highly certified professional in PMI ecosystem with almost all major certifications, including PMP, PMOCP, ACP, PBA, PMI, CPMI. And over the years, I have worked with organizations dealing with many of the same challenges we see everywhere today. Disconnected governance, lack of executive visibility, PMO struggling to prove value, transformation fatigue, stakeholder resistance, and increasing delivery complexity. One thing I have learned very early in my career is that frameworks alone do not solve organizational problems. Real PMO leadership requires judgment, influence, strategic thinking, and ability to translate PMO services into language executives and customers value. So, this is how our philosophy is highly practical, scenario based, and leadership oriented. I do not want students to simply memorize. I want them to understand how a PMO professional thinks, how they diagnose organizational pain points, and how they make decisions that create recognized organizational value. This is why throughout today's session, I will continue concepts to real organizational realities, um, real PMO challenges, and real leadership situations. Because ultimately, PMI-PMOCP is not just teaching you how to manage PMO process, it is preparing you to do the job. So let's begin with understanding why PMOs are becoming so strategically important in the current work environment. We are living in what PMI calls the project economy. Organizations no longer compete only through operations, they compete through transformation, innovation, speed, adaptability, and execution credibility. Every major business priority today is being delivered through project program portfolio, AI initiatives, digital modernization, enterprise transformation, regulatory change, and strategic delivery ecosystem. And that creates enormous pressure on organizations. Let's review at a high level the reasons that make PMO matter more than ever. First, project economy acceleration. Organizations are managing more simultaneous initiatives than ever before, often across technologies. Sorry, guys, just hang on a second. We have some technical difficulties. Alrighty, so guys, we were looking at why PMOs matter more than ever today. So organizations no longer compete only through operations, they compete through transformation, innovation, speed, adaptability, and execution capability. Every major business priority today is delivering through projects, program, portfolio, AI initiatives, digital modernization, enterprise transformation, regulatory change, and strategic delivery ecosystem. And that creates enormous pressure on organizations. Let's review at a high level the reasons that make PMO more than important than ever before. So, first, project economy acceleration. Organizations are managing more like initiatives than ever before, often across multiple technologies, business units, regions, vendors, and transformation streams at the same time. Second, AI and digital transformation. AI is dramatically increasing execution speed, automation capability, data complexity, and decision making expectations. But AI without governance, prioritization, and strategic alignment can create chaos faster than value. So, third, executive visibility demands. Leadership team no longer want static status reports. They want real-time visibility into risk priorities, investment alignment, delivery, health resources, constraint, and measurable business outcomes. And finally, enterprise change overload. Organizations today are under continuous transformation pressure. Many teams are overwhelmed by competing priorities, disconnected governance, and transformation fatigue. So, this is exactly why PMO leadership matters more than ever before today. Modern PMOs are no longer just administrative or reporting functions. They are becoming strategic enablement organizations that connect strategy to execution, improving visibility, drive governance, support prioritization, enable delivery teams, and help organization realize measurable business value. So the strong PMOs today are the ones that move beyond control and become trusted strategic partners to the business. And this is one of the biggest mindset shift behind the PMI-PMOCP certification. The certification is not teaching you how to become a reporting manager only. It teaches you how to think like a strategic PMO leader in the age of transformation, AI, and enterprise complexity. So, this slide is very important because it explains why PMOCP is a natural next. Traditional project management focused on delivery level work, tasks, timeline, risks, issues, status updates, dashboards, scope, schedule, cost, and delivery control. So that work is still important, but the reality is that more and more of this work is becoming supported by tools, automation, dashboard, and AI. So where does the project professional PMI PMOCP moves you from managing individual delivery to orchestrating and project on time or on budget. You start asking bigger questions. Are we investing in the right work? Are projects aligned to strategy? Do executives have the visibility to they need? Are PMO services helping teams deliver better results? Are we creating measurable business outcomes? This is a shift from delivery level PM work to PMO strategic value leadership. And this is where human leadership still matters deeply, regardless of how much automation happens at a transactional level. So, judgment, influence, governance, service design, stakeholder trust, value translation, and organizational alignment cannot be automated in a meaningful way. So, for project managers who want to move beyond task tracking and reporting, PMI PMO CP gives a structured path into strategic PMO leadership. So let's pause for a moment here and imagine your name on this certification. So, guys, this certificate is not just about passing another exam, it's about having full formal recognition that you can think, lead, and deliver value as a modern PMO professional. For many professionals, PMO experience already exists in their day to day work, but it's not always formally recognized. PMI PMOCP helps give structure, language, and credibility to that experience. It shows that you understand PMO strategy, governance, service design, operations, maturity improvement, people leadership, and value realization. But I also want to be very clear that this certificate is earned through preparation, eligibility, and successful exam performance. Today gives you the roadmap. The full learning journey helps you walk that path with structure and confidence. So this slide shows how our preparation is structured around the full PMO leadership journey, not only the exam syllabus. PMI PMOCP is not a certification you prepare for by memorizing isolated terms. You need to understand how PMOs create value for organizations from beginning to end. That starts with echo-aligned coverage, so you know exactly how the six exam domains are organized. Then we build the value-driven PMO mindset because the exam consistently expects you to think like a PMO leader who creates measurable organizational value. We also focus on customer centric PMO design, need assessment, value proposition, mandate governance, service catalog, onboarding, operations, KPI maturity improvement, team competencies, and value recognition. Each of these topics connect to one big message. A modern PMO must be designed around customer needs, operated like a reliable service organization, and measured by its value, not its control. So, when you prepare with SNS, the goal is not only to help you pass the exam, the goal is to help you become more confident in real PMO conversations, stronger in strategic decision making, and better prepared to lead PMO transformation in your organization to give you an edge over other PMO professionals. So, before I show you the learning platform we use to teach different certification, I want to briefly position what SNS coaching and consulting services provide. SNS is your one-stop shop PMI authorized training partner for certification, leadership, and career transformation. We support professionals through live instructor led bootcamps, self study, and AI powered smart prep, and one on one coaching and mentorship. Our certification portfolio covers major PMI credentials, including PMP, PGMP, PFMP, PMI-ACP, PMI-RMP, PMI-PBA, and PMI-PMOCP, and PMI-CPMAI. That is the new AI certification. I am also certified in all these domains, which means that when we create curriculum or when we teach you, we do not just look at one certification or one standard. We try to connect the dots to make you one of those professional who is holistic in its approach and understand and can work with diverse stakeholders, which is the demand of today's work landscape. The most important point is that we are not only preparing people to pass exam, we are helping professionals become more confident, more strategic, and more ready for real world roles in project, program, portfolio, PMO, risk, agile, and AI enabled leadership. That's why professionals choose SNS for PMI aligned training, real world enterprise experience, and AI enhanced learning support. So now let's show you what the students learning experience SNS. I will be walking you through SNS CCS platform. And this is where our approach becomes very different from traditional memorization based trainings. We understand that every learner is different. Some students learn best through live classes, some need recordings, some need practice questions, simulations, gamified reviews, or one on one guidance. This is why the dashboard brings everything together in one place. Students can access the live classes courses, materials, exam simulators, progress tracking, certifications, and they get one-on-one support directly from me on top of their full live classes. And we also provide SNS Smart Prep. One of the key features of Smart Prep is that it's 24/7 AI study partner, which gives our students support outside the class time so they can ask questions, clarify concept, and continue learning at their own pace. For live classes, students are taught to provide the required PMI hours, and this is all included when you sign up for the live classes. So the message here is simple. SNS is not only about exam preparation. We support certification readiness, role readiness, and career growth overall. Foundation, guys, a PMO is what will be the front and center of everything we will do in today's class. So let's start with um, defining the foundation of what PMO is. So, a PMO or project management office is an organizational structure that centralizes governance, support, and coordination across projects, programs, and portfolio. But the important point is that a PMO is not just a department that creates templates or collect reports. A real PMO exists to help the organization deliver the right work in the right way with the right level of visibility, governance, and support. It centralizes support by providing shared methods, tools, guidance, and coaching across the project ecosystem. It improves alignment by connecting project delivery to strategic priorities so teams are not just busy but working on what matters most. It is also context dependent. Every PMO is different because every organization has different maturity, culture, leadership expectation, risks, and customer needs. And finally, a successful PMO serves customers. Those customers may be executives, sponsors, project managers, program managers, portfolio leaders, and functional teams. So the key message here is do not build a PMO from a template, build it around organizational needs, customers, values, and strategic outcomes. So now that we have defined what PMO is, let's look at the certification itself. PMI-PMOCP is PMI's professional credential designed specifically for PMO leaders and practitioners. This is important because PMO work is not same as managing one project. PMO professionals are responsible for establishing, operating, improving, and proving the value of PMO service across the organization. The certification is grounded in real practice. That means it is based on what PMO professionals actually do in organizations, not only theory. It is also mapped to ACO, the exam content outline, which means you study the blueprint that is established by one of the best organization, PMI, by the professionals who lead PMOs in the world. And it covers the full PMO life cycle, strategy, design, operations, improvement, value realization, and people. So why pressure it? Let's pursue the certification because it differentiates you as a PMO specialist, validates both strategic and operational PMO capability, and gives you a globally recognized PMI credential in one of the most important areas of modern transformation leadership. Before we move forward, I want to pause on this slide because it shows something very important. PMI-PMOCP is not only about earning another credential. It's about how the certification changes the way professionals think about PMO value. These testimonials show three consistent themes. First, candidates recognize that PMOCP connects directly to real PMO work, especially customer centricity, service design, governance, and value delivery. Second, the certification helps professionals explain PMO value in a more structured and credible way. And third, it builds confidence for people who want to move beyond project delivery into PMO leadership and advisory and also the transformation roles. So when we talk about PMI-PMOCP, we're not talking about exam preparation. We're talking about a mindset shift from managing work to enabling organizational value through PMO. Now let's make the exam structure very practical here. The PMI-PMOCP exam includes 120 total questions. Out of those, 100 questions are scored, 20 questions are not scored. They are pre-test questions just for the sake of testing. You will not know which questions are pre-test, so you must treat every question seriously. You have 165 minutes to complete the exam, which gives you approximately 83 seconds per question. The exam covers all 6 echo domains, so you need to prepare all the domains, and your preparation must be balanced across the full PMO life cycle. You will see multiple choice and question and answers. For multiple answer questions, slow down and read the instructions carefully before you answer the question. There's also an optional break after the first section. I strongly recommend using it because these exams are not only about knowledge, they are also testing your stamina, focus, and ability to make clear decisions under the pressure. So the key advice here is simple. Do not prepare only by memorizing definitions. Practice scenario-based thinking, pacing, and elimination strategy. Now let's quickly review the eligibility requirements because this is one of the first questions most candidates ask. To apply for PMOCP, you need a diploma or equivalent. This could be a high school diploma, secondary school certificate, or recognized global equivalent. Second, you need professional experience. PMI requires 36 months of experience in project-related profession within the last 8 years, so you can qualify if you hold a current PMP certification in good standing. Third, you need formal PMO education. The requirement is a minimum of 10 hours of formal education related to PMOs. The application process is also straightforward. You create or log into your PMI account, complete the online application, document your experience, submit it to PMI for review, pay the exam fee once approved, and then schedule your exam within your eligibility window. One important reminder, always verify the latest eligibility criteria directly on PMI.org before applying because PMI requirements and policies are subject to change. So I have also done another session on YouTube where I walked people through the live PMO pages where you can actually see the latest echo or exam criteria or application process. So feel free to browse that in my channel. It's SNS CCS. You browse my channel on YouTube and then you can search for PMI-PMOCP exam outline and you will see that video. In the full SNS CCS program, we also support students with understanding the application process so they are not confused or delayed by the documentation step. So this slide is one of the most important mindset slides in this deck, guys, PMI PMOCP is not only testing what you know, it is testing how you think and decide as a PMO professional. The first mindset is value over bureaucracy. So, one thing, guys, all the students, the certification they're doing, guys, all the PMI tests are designed for professionals with some sort of experience and maturity level. So you cannot be somebody like just off school and be writing these professional certifications. Therefore, PMI expect you to have certain level of knowledge, and it is not a memory or theory test. PMI tests your ability to perform under stress as a professional, and regardless of what exam you're writing, either it's PMP, PGMP, or PMO, or PFMP, or any exam, you need to understand the PMI mindset, and that really helps you to pass your exam first time. So, this is very important to understand, to learn the way of PMI thinking. So, PMO should not create process for the sake of processes. Every PMO activity should help the organization make better decisions, improve delivery, reduce risk, support teams, or create measurable value. So this is, one of the mindset that would help you to understand the right versus wrong questions or the best questions, because sometimes all the options look right, but you have to pick the best version of it to show PMI that you know your domain very well, and you can pick the best options versus the options which are also correct but not the best. So the second mindset is customers over templates. A template is only useful if it solves a real customer need. A PMO should not begin with documents. It should begin with understanding who its customers are and what they actually need. The third is tailoring over one size fits all. And this technically applies to all PMI certifications. So there's no one size fits all approach that PMI likes. PMI also always wants you to understand the unique needs of the customers you're tackling with. So, a PMO that works beautifully in one organization may fail in another. Culture, maturity, strategy, risk tolerance, and stakeholder expectations, all that matters, and they can be dramatically different from one another. So there's no one approach that fits all sizes. The fourth is service delivery over control. This is very important, guys. The PMO's role is not only to police compliance. The modern PMOs must enable support, guide, and serve their customers and stakeholders. The fifth is outcomes over outputs. So, again, this is something very, very important. We hear this all the time from the thought leaders in the domain. We always focus on outputs more than the outcomes. A report is an output, better executive decision making is an outcome. A training session is an output, improved delivery capability is an outcome. So when you are answering exam questions, ask yourself which option creates value, serves customers, fits the context, and improve outcomes. So guys, this slide gives you a practical way to think during your exam. I'll give you a minute to absorb the information on this slide, and then we'll come back to it. All right. So, guys, do not answer only as a project manager managing one project deliverable. In the PMOCP exam, answer as a PMO professional responsible for designing, operating, improving, and proving a customer centric PMO. If the scenario talks about strategy shift, portfolio prioritization, business or executive concern, think strategic alignment. The best move is usually to validate PMO services, roadmap, governance against organizational goals. If the scenario talks about customer satisfaction, resistance, unclear needs, or feedback, think customer centric PMO. The best move is to engage customers, assess needs, create personas, and tailor services. If the scenario talks about unclear authority, decision rights, conflicting expectation, or escalation, think mandate, strategy, and governance. The best move is to clarify the mandate, update the charter, and route decisions through governance. If the scenario talks about service catalog, SLA, onboarding, workflows, or quality issues, think service design and operation. If the scenario says PMO value is questioned, dashboards are weak, KPIs are missing, or maturity gaps exist, think enhancement and value. And if scenario includes conflict, resistance, communication breakdown, or lack of buy-in, think people and influence. The formula at the bottom is your exam anchor. Customer needs, value, tailoring, governance, services, performance, and continuous improvement. This slide is all about exam judgment. When answer choices look similar, the easiest way to improve your accuracy is to eliminate the answers that treat the PMO like a template factory, reporting office, leasing function, or single project support desk. For example, if an option says to copy a popular PMO model without assessing the organization, that is usually weak answer. PMI, PMOCP rewards customization and tailoring based on the organizational unique needs and context. If an option starts with templates, tools, or processes before understanding customers, that is also a weak option. A process first PMO can quickly become bureaucracy and politics. If an option bypasses mandate, sponsorship, or governance, be careful. PMO authority, decision rights, escalation, and accountability need to be clear before taking any major action. Also, guys, avoid answers that measure only project status, schedule, cost, or report publication. Those are outputs, not in outcomes, and nothing that generate full PMO value. And finally, do not assume that delivered value will automatically be recognized. A PMO can create value and still lose credibility if stakeholders do not see it, understand it, or acknowledge it. As Americo Pinto says, the beauty lies in the eyes of beholder. The value also lies in the eyes of stakeholders, so their perceived value is equally important for PMOs, so pay attention to that point. So your elimination rule is simple. Avoid process first PMO thinking. Choose the option that is customer first, value driven, governed, tailored, and continuous improvement is the key to pass the PMI PMOCP exam. This slide introduces one of the most important principle in PMI PMOCP, which is customer centricity. A modern PMO does not begin with templates, guys, governance documents, or reporting structures. It begins by understanding what your customer needs. Guys, I grew up hearing treat people the way you like to be treated. And if you have that approach in today's diverse world, you can fail miserably. So you want to treat people the way they like to be treated, not the way you want to be treated. So keep that in mind. Very true in PMO scenarios. So the beauty lies in the eyes of beholder, and the value lies as the stakeholder perceived it as value. You can deliver your um, project or initiatives on time, on budget, within the scope criteria, as per the quality, as per the requirement guidelines, but still you can fail if people do not adopt it or use it, or the people in operations or your customers do not perceive the value the organization wanted to create. So, PMO customers are the people who directly use or benefit from PMO services. That may include project managers, program managers, portfolio leaders, executive sponsors, resource managers, or transformation office. And the key reality here is different customer groups have different expectations. An executive sponsor may want strategic visibility and DSCN support. A project manager may want a practical guidance, escalation support, and delivery enablement. A functional manager may care more about resource planning and prioritization. That is why customer needs must shape PMO services. The second important principle is that perception is reality. A PMO may believe it is creating value, but if the customers do not recognize or experience that value, the PMO credibility becomes weak. So, finally, feedback loops are essential. Customer needs change constantly as organizations evolve, and change is the only constant in today's date, and we are all aware of it. The PMO also must continuously gather feedback, adapt services, and improve the customer experience over time. This is one of the biggest mindset shift in PMI-PMOCP. The PMO is not only governance function, it is also a service organization designed around customer value. So this slide takes customer centricity one step further. If the PMO has customers, then the PMO must also think like a service organization. This means the PMO should not only create standards and expect people to follow them, it must define useful services, onboard customers properly, operate those services reliably, measure performance, and continuously improve. First, define the service. What does the PMO offer? Who is it for? What problem does it solve? And what value should it create? Second, onboard the customer. People need to know how to use the services, where to go, what to expect, and how the PMO will support them. Third, operate consistently. This is where trust is built. If the PMO services are inconsistent, slow, or unclear, customers lose confidence in the PMO. Fourth measure, the PMO must track service performance, customer feedback, adoption, and outcomes. And fifth, improve. PMO services should evolve as organizational needs change or organizational maturity level changes and customer expectations change as the strategy evolve. The message at the bottom of this slide is the real takeaway for you. PMO trust is not assumed, it is earned through consistent, visible, and measurable service delivery. So now we are moving into the official exam blueprint. The ECHO or exam content outline defines the 6 domains that from PMI-PMOCP exam. Every exam question maps back to one of these domains. So this slide is your study roadmap. You can see the domains are not weighted equally. Domain 1, organizational development and alignment, is 16%. Domain 2, PMO strategic alignment, is 18%. Domain 3, PMO design and structure, is 18%. Domain PMO operations and performance is 15%. PMO enhancement and effectiveness is 18%. And finally, the domain 6, people, is 15%. The biggest takeaway here is that domains 2, 3, and 5 carry the highest weight at 18% each. This means you should give extra study attention to PMO strategy, design, and enhancement. But do not ignore the other domains. The exam represents the full PMO lifecycle from organizational alignment and strategic design to operations, improvement, value delivery, and people. So now let's look at domain 1, which is organizational development and alignment. This domain carries 16% of the exam. The key message is that PMO success begins before the service is even launched. Before a PMO can design service or services, create dashboards, or improve governance, it needs to understand the organizational readiness. That means looking at culture, maturity, capability, and how project management is currently practiced across the organization. The first area is elevating organizational project management competencies. This means building the skills, knowledge, and capability needs for consistent project delivery. The second is shaping project management culture. If the organization does not value discipline, transparency, accountability, and learning, the PMO will struggle to succeed. The third is driving maturity. The PMO needs to understand where the organization is today, where it needs to go, and what realistic improvement roadmap will close the gap. And the fourth is building organizational capabilities. This includes people, process, tools, and systems that make project delivery repeatable and scalable. So the exam mindset here is simple. Do not prescribe solutions before understanding organizational readiness. PMO value begins with alignment to the organizational culture, maturity, and capability. So now we move into domain 2, PMO strategic elements. This domain carries 18% of the exam weightage, so it is one of the heavier weighted areas and very important for your preparation. The core idea here is simple. Before a PMO starts designing services, building dashboards, creating templates, or launching governance meetings, it must first establish its strategic foundation. A PMO without a clear strategic foundation becomes activities and reactive. It starts responding to everyone's requests without a clear purpose, authority, or direction. This domain focuses on 3 major elements: PMO strategy, PMO mandate, and PMO governance. First, architecting the PMO strategy. This means defining the PMO's long term direction, priorities, objectives, roadmap, value contribution, communication approach, and success measures. Success measures is the most important. As we say, the PMO is the factory to deliver value and not the process. The PMO strategy must connect directly to organizational goals. If the business strategy changes, the PMO strategy must also be reviewed and adapted. Second, steward towards PMO mandate. The mandate is the PMO's license to operate. As we are all aware, and that in some cases, PMOs are not the authority or they are functioning as a support system to somebody else's goals, such as from we can have some enhancement for the finance department or HR department or operations or technology, and we are helping them to get from a current state to a future state, whereas we are not in direct control of the utilization of the value that they are creating through this initiatives. So, PMO's mandate is the PMO's license to operate. It explains why the PMO exists, what authority it has, what scope it owns, and what stakeholders it will serve, and what responsibilities it carries. Without a clear mandate, the PMO can easily face confusion, resistance, or conflicting expectations. So, third, establishing governance defines how decisions are made, who has authority, how escalation works, what reporting structure exists, and how accountability is maintained throughout the life cycle. Good governance gives the PM credibility because it creates clarity and discipline around decision making. The exam insight on this slide is very important. Mandate is the why and the authority. Strategy is the what and how. Governance is the who, decide when, and through what mechanism. Many PMOs fail not because they lack tools, but because these three elements are unclear. Executives expect one thing, delivery teams expect another, and the PMO gets stuck in the middle. You see words like unclear authority, conflicting expectation, escalation issues, sponsor alignment, roadmap, or decision insight. Think domain two. The right move is usually to clarify the mandate, align the PMO strategy, secure sponsorship, and use governance channels before scaling services. Once this foundation is clear, the PMO can move into designing services around customers' needs, which is exactly where domain 3 takes us next. So, moving to domain 3, PMO design and structure. This domain also carries 18% of the exam, so it is another highly weighted area for the exam preparation. The big idea here is that PMO design should never begin with a copied framework or a generic template. It always begins with customers. A PMO must first understand who its customers are, what they need, what problems they are trying to solve, and what value they expect from the PMO. The first area is managing PMO customers. This means identifying your current and potential PMO customers, segmenting them, building a relationship that allow the PMO to understand their real needs. PMO customers may include executives, sponsors, project managers, program managers, portfolio leaders, resource managers, and functional teams. The second area is understanding customer needs. This is where techniques like interviews, surveys, feedback sessions, personas, and pinpoint analysis becomes important. The PMO should not assume what customers need, it should validate those needs through structured discovery. The third area is articulating the PMO value position. Once customers' needs are understood, the PMO must clearly explain the value it will provide. This is where the PMO answers why should the organization invest in us, what problems we will solve, and how will customers be better because this PMO exists. The fourth area is designing the implementing services. This is where customers' insight becomes practical service reality. The PMO builds a service catalog, defines service descriptions, owners, processes, KPIs, and service expectations. The exam mindset for this domain is very clear. When you see customer dissatisfaction, low adoption, resistance, unclear needs, or service misalignment, do not jump directly to enforcement. Go back to customer understanding, service tailoring, value position, and service design. Domain 3 is where the PMO stops, um, begin a process office, and starts becoming a customer-centric service organization. Now, let's move into domain 4, PMO operations and performance. This domain carries 15% of the exam weight, and the core message is very practical. A PMO's credibility is earned in the day-to-day. You can have strong mandate, a beautiful strategy, and a well-designed service catalog, but the PMO cannot operate reliably. Customers will lose trust. This domain focuses on three major areas: onboarding services, and managing PMO resources. First, onboarding services. Launching a service is not same as customer actually using it. So customers need to understand what the service is, how to access the service, what support is available, and what they can expect from the PMO. Second, you know, is managing services. PMO services need defined workflows, service levels, escalation paths, quality standards, feedback loops. The PMO must operate with consistency because consistency builds trust. So, third PMO, managing resources. The PMO must have the right people, right um, skills, tools, and capacity to deliver what it promises. A PMO should not overcommit services without understanding its own resource limitation. The right side of the slide shows what operational excellence looks like. Services are adopted, not just announced. Very important point. Customers know what to expect. PMO capacity is actively managed. Issues are resolved before they escalate. Performance data is visible and used for decisions. So the exam mindset here is simple. When you see scenario about service onboarding, service quality, SLAs, workflows, resource capacity, support request, or operational issues, think of this domain. The better answer will usually focus on structured onboarding, reliable service operation, clear expectations, resource alignment, and measurable service performance. This domain remind us that PMO value is not created by strategy alone. It is created when the PMO delivers consistently enough for customers to trust it. So moving to domain 5, PMO enhancement and effectiveness. This domain carries 18% of the exam weight, so it's one of the highest weighted area. The core message here is very direct. A PMO that does not measure, improve, and communicate its value will eventually be questioned or fail. Many PMOs are busy. They produce reports, facilitate meetings, maintain templates, and support delivery teams. But actively, they are not effective for the stakeholders, at least in their eyes. This domain is about making sure the PMO is not only doing work, but improving the quality, maturity, and recognized value um, is enhanced over time. The first area is optimizing service performance. This means using data to understand what is working, what is not working, where service gaps exist, and where improvements will create the greatest impact. The second area is assessing service maturity. Not every PMO service needs to be advanced immediately. The goal is to understand the maturity of each service and improve it in a way that matches customer needs, organizational maturity, and strategic priorities. The third area is improving PMO team competencies. A PMO cannot deliver high quality services if the PMO team itself lacks the right skills, capabilities like data analysis, facilitation, communication, stakeholder management, governance, and risk response directly affect the PMO credibility. The fourth area is optimizing PMO value. This is where the PMO looks beyond individual services and asks, are we helping the organization make better decisions, deliver more effectively, improve alignment, reduce risks, and realize business outcomes? The exam mindset here is important. When you see scenarios about KPI gaps, weak dashboards, poor customer satisfaction, maturity gaps, performance issues, or leaders questioning PMO value, think of this domain. So, um, moving to domain six. This domain carries 15% of the exam, and it is sometimes underestimated because people assume it is only about soft skill. But in PMO leadership, people's skills are not soft, they are strategic. In my over a decade experience, guys, I've never ever seen an initiative, a program, or a project or a PMO initiative fail because the buttons didn't work. It's always people who make or break the deal. So that makes this domain very, very important from exam perspective. A PMO professional often works across functions: project sponsors, executives, delivery teams, and resource managers. In many cases, the PMO does not have direct authority over all these groups, so success depends heavily on influence, communication, trust, and judgment. The first area here is value driven mindset. So this means consistently making decisions through the lens of value. The PMO professional must analyze data, solve problems, think strategically, support innovation, and continuously improve. I'll pause here in case anyone has any questions. Alrighty. So it looks like everybody is understanding the concept. So the second area is customer centric relationship. A PMO cannot succeed through process alone. It must build trust with customers, understand stakeholder needs, manage conflict, collaborate effectively, and communicate in a way that um, different audience understand. The third area is personal effectiveness. This includes accuracy, adaptability, integrity, objectivity, resilience, proactivity, and time management. These qualities matter because PMO professionals are often operating in complex and high pressure environments. The fourth area is technical delivery. So, PMO professionals still need strong technical capability. They must understand project management processes, optimization, risk response, training delivery, and the practical mechanism of PMO service. And finally, organization influence. And this is where PMO professionals move from being administrators to trusted advisor. They need business acumen, cultural awareness of the organization, leadership capability, and the ability to influence strategic directions with integrity. So the exam mindset here is this: when you see a conflict, stakeholder resistance, poor communication, capability gaps, weak collaboration, or lack of buy in, think of this domain. The best answer will usually involve building trust, communicate clearly, managing relationships, strengthening capability, and influencing through value rather than authority. This domain reminds us that PMO success is never just about frameworks, it's about people who can connect strategy, delivery, governance, and value in a way that organization can actually trust. So we are now halfway. We will take a quick 5 minutes break here. So far, we have covered the foundation, what PMI-PMOCP is, the exam structure, the PMI mindset, and all six ACO domains. Before you step away, I want you to reflect on one question. Which ACO domain feels like your biggest personal development area right now? Is it strategy, customer needs, service design, operations, enhancement and value, or people and influence? So when we come back, we will shift from official exam blueprint into the broader learning journey. So this is where we will connect the ACO domains into a practical PMO life cycle using the PMO value ring and the value generating flywheel as a way to understand how PMO explore needs, design services, deploy them, improve them, and prove value. Please be back in 5 minutes and we'll resume promptly. Hello and welcome back, guys. I hope you enjoyed your quick 5 minutes break. So, now that we have reviewed the six official ACO domains, the next question is how do we actually learn this in a way that makes sense? The ECHO is the exam blueprint. It tells us what will be tested, how the domains are weighted, and what tasks and enablers PMI expect a PMO professional to understand. But the ECHO is not always the order in which real PMO happens. In real life, a PMO does not operate domain by domain. A PMO begins by understanding the organization's customers, discovering their needs, designing services as per the needs, deploying the services, operating them, measuring performance, improving maturity, and communicate value. This is why we connect the ACO to practical PMO lifecycle. Think of it this way: the ACO is the map, and the PMO value ring or flywheel is the route. The map tells you the territory. The route helps you make through it in a logical, practical, real world sequence. So, in the full learning journey, we use the PMO value ring as a practical teaching framework to connect PMI actually creates value. It helps you from exploration to design, from design to deployment, from deployment to enhancement to realization. This matters for the exam because many questions are scenario based. You need to know not only the domain name, but also where the PMO is in this life cycle and what the right next actions should be. Sure, but understand the life cycle to think and respond like a real PMO leader. So now that the learning journey, let's look at PMO life cycle itself. This cycle shows how a value generation PMO moves from understanding customer needs all the way to delivering the value that is recognized by the stakeholders or customers. The first phase is this is where the PMO identifies who its customers are, what they need, what their pain points are, and what outcomes they are expecting from the PMO. This is the discovery phase. A strong PMO does not assume value, it investigates value. The second phase is design. Once customer needs are clear, the PMO can design the right value proposition and right service portfolio. This is where the PMO decides what services to offer, who those services are for, and what benefits they create, and how they connect to organizational is the goal. The third phase is deployment. In this, we see where PMO services are launched, onboarded, and activated. But remember, launching a service is not the same as adoption. Customers must understand how to use the services, why it matters, and what support is available from PMI to help that adoption or generate the organization value. The fourth phase is enhancement. Once services are running, the PMO must monitor performance, gather feedback, assess maturity, and continuously improve. This is where the PMO learns what is working, what is not working, and where adjustments are needed. The fifth one is realization. This is where the PMO measure, communicates, formally recognizes the value it has created. This is a critical phase because PMO can deliver value and still be questioned if stakeholders do not see or acknowledge the impact. So the key message here is PMO value is not created in a single moment. It is created through continuous cycle of listening, designing, deploying, improving, and providing value. The cycle also helps you think more clearly for the exam. When you read a scenario, ask yourself, where is the PMO in the life cycle? Is it still exploring needs? Is it designing services? Is it operating them? Is it improving performance, or is it trying to prove and communicate value to the stakeholders and customers? The question will help you to choose the right action. So, moving to the next slide. So we have seen the 5 phases of PMO customer experience cycle. I want to show you how those phases come together visually. This is PMO flywheel. The purpose of this slide is not to get into every step yet. We will do that in the next slide. For now, I want you to focus on overall logic here. A PMO does not create value in a straight line. It creates value through operating cycle. It starts by understanding customers and their needs. Then it designs the right services, deploys those services, monitor, improve them, and finally deliver and recognize value. And once that value is recognized, the PMO does not stop. It uses that feedback to continuously improve, adapt, and strengthening its services. So this is why this is shown as a flywheel. Every rotation builds momentum. The more consistently the PMO listens and delivers um, proves value, stronger it is, and it enhances the credibility of PMO. This is also how we connect the PMI-PMOCP domains to real PMO work. The echo gives us the exam structure, but the flywheel helps us understand how PMO value is created in practice. So think of this slide as the visual model. It shows the full PMO value journey at a glance. On the next slide, we'll break this flywheel into 10 practical steps that make the model actionable. So this is where the model becomes actionable. The first phase is exploration, awareness building. Stakeholder needs to understand who PMO is, why it exists, and how it can help. Then comes need assessment. This is where the PMO listens to the customers, identifies pain points, understands expectations, and discover where value can be created. The second phase is design. This starts with the value proposition. The PMO must clearly explain what value it will deliver to whom and why it matters. Then turns customer needs into actual services such as governance support, reporting, portfolio visibility, resource planning, risk support, or delivery coaching. The third phase is deployment. This includes service onboarding. A PMO service is not A PMO service is not successful simply because it exists. Customers must know how to access it, when to use it, and what to expect and where to get support. Then comes service operation. This is where the PMO delivers service consistently and reliably, and this is where trust is built. The fourth phase is enhancement. This begins with service monitoring, service quality, customer satisfaction, adoption, and outcomes. Then comes the service improvement. The PMO uses data and feedback and close gaps, improve maturity, and make service more relevant. The final phase is realization. This includes value delivery. The PMO must show that its work is producing meaningful outcomes for the organization, and finally value recognition. This is critical. It's not enough for the PMO to deliver value. Stakeholders must also see it, understand it, and acknowledge it. So the difference between slide 30 and this slide is simple. This The previous slide showed us visual model. This slide shows us the operating logic. The takeaway here is that a strong PMO continuously moves through these 10 steps. It listens, designs, delivers, improves value again and again. And this is how a PMO moves from being seen as reporting function to strategic value partner. This slide shows us how the full SNS PMI-PMOCP program is structured. So we covered the ACO and the customer life cycle at a higher level for the sake of time. This is how much we could cover. I hope it really helped. And for elaborated and preparation, feel free to snsccs.com for more information. So today's masterclass gives you the orientation, but the full program is where you go deeper into the complete PMO value lifecycle. This program is organized into different modules. Each module connects to a different stage of how PMO creates value. We go from introduction, exploration, design, deployment, enhancement into realization. So let's quickly review at how to approach the PMI-PMOCP exam and how to prepare for the exam. So this slide is all about how to study strategically, not just study harder. So PMI-PMOCP is not an exam you prepare for by memorizing definition alone. It is competency-based exam, which means it tests how you apply PMO judgment in practical scenarios. Guys, I've also passed this exam. One thing I really want you to that everything that is being asked in the questions is not from the standard. So at a higher level, you need to somehow know the PMBOK as well. And there is a lot of information that you really as a professor knew from my other that helped me to pass this exam, and not everything was in the standard. So it is not like a standard content test. The focus should be on echo domains, and this is how we prepare our students. So echo is your official study blueprint. You need to understand the 6 domains in this case, the task inside each domains, and the enablers that describe what PMO professionals actually do. So the second step is to think in task and enablers. Many candidates only memorize domain, usually built around actions. For example, assessing customer needs, designing PMO services, creating a roadmap, managing services performance, or improving PMO team competencies. So your study should focus on what the PMO professional is expected to do. Situation, as we repeatedly said, this is not a memory test, it's not a test. It is a test of your ability in making decisions under stress. The third step is to practice scenario-based thinking. Every question should feel like mini case. Read the scenario carefully, identify the real problem, connect it to the right domain, and then choose the answer that best value-driven and tailored PMO thinking. And this is what we masters in our classes through the different tools we provide at SNS. We make sure that you are ready for this. The next step is connect service to value. Whenever you see a PMO activity, ask yourself, what value does this create? Does it improve decision making, increase visibility, reduce risk, improve service adoption, support strategic alignment, strength, capability? PMI-PMOCP reward answers that connect PMO work to meaningful outcomes, not just the process compliance. So the fifth step, in order to prepare for exam, is to build exam stamps. 5 minutes for 120 questions. This is manageable, but only if you practice basic. You need to train yourself to read quickly, think clearly, eliminate weak answers, and stay calm under pressure. At SNS, this is where our guided study pathway, practice questions, mock exam, coaching support come in. to help you pass the exam first time. The goal is not only to help you study the content, but also to help you build confidence in how you think and respond like a PMO professional. So that gives you a simple view of what we provide at SNS for students who want a structured PMI-PMOCP preparation journey. Our approach is not based on memorization alone. We understand that different learners need different types of support. Some people need live teaching, some need practice questions, some need a customized roadmap, some need coaching, accountability, or help understand how the certification fits into their career path. This is why the SNS pathway is built as a complete support system. First, we begin with enrollment, one-on-one support, and provide a customized roadmap. The student that enrolls feel lost. We help them understand where they are starting from, what they need to study, how to organize their preparation. So, in other words, we meet our students where they are and help them to take them to the next level. Students move in program covering all 6 eco domains through structured example and exam understanding they need. We also provide practice support through AI buddy support, which is available 24/7. This is important because learning does not only happen during the class time. Students can continue asking questions, reviewing concept, and practicing outside the live session and still get the expert opinion and others. This helps students build timing, stamina, and confidence with the real exam. Also provide exam application support. Many candidates are qualified, but they are unsure how to complete the PMI application, document their experience, and schedule the exam. We also help with that process if you enroll for our program. And finally, students have access to study community and coaching, all our YouTube videos, free resources along with the resources we provide. Certification preparation becomes easier when learners have structure, peer support, structure, guidance, and a place to ask questions. So the message is simple. SNS is not only giving you a class, we are giving you a preparation ecosystem, training tools, practice AI support, coaching, application guidance, and career direction. The goal is to help you become exam ready, but also more confident and capable as a modern PMO professional. So before we move into the exam practice, let's anchor everything back to the core leadership message. The modern PMO earns trust by knowing its customers, operating great services, and making value visible. So, guys, at this point, I want you to pause and bring everything together that we learned. We move into exam style questions. So, the modern PMO is not just a reporting office. It's not only governance that collects status updates and send dashboards. A modern PMO is a value generating service organization. That means the PMO must understand real needs of its customers, operate those services consistently and reliably. That's I want to remember here. Three. First, know your customer. PMO cannot create meaningful value if it does not understand its customers, executive sponsors, project managers, program managers, portfolio leaders, resource managers, and functional teams may all need different. Second, I really want you to remember to design and operate great services that should be useful, reliable, measurable, and easy to understand for all of its customers. It's not enough to create templates, dashboards, or processes. The PMO must ensure those services are adopted, trusted, and actually helping customers to succeed as per the organizational, strategic context and requirement and needs. Third, measure and communicate value. This is why many PMOs struggle. Many PMOs struggle to communicate its value. They may be doing valuable work, but if stakeholders do not see the impact, the PMO can still be questioned and can miserably fail. Value must be measured, communicated, and recognized. So, as we move into the practice questions, use the slide as you are as your thinking anchor. Ask yourself, what does the customer need? What value is being created? What value PMO is bringing for its customers? Is the PMO acting as a service organization? Is the answer tailored, governed, and focused on outcomes? Now take a few seconds and reflect on the questions at the bottom. Which of the six echo domains is your biggest personal development opportunity right now? Put it in the chat. Is it strategy? Is it customer needs? Is it service design? Is it operations, enhancement and value, or people and influence? Now let's move into the exam style questions and apply this mindset. The goal is not only to pick the correct answer, the goal is to understand how a PMI-PMOCP professional thinks through these scenarios. So I'll pause here and I will let you read the question. And I am going to read it for you as well. So you have recently been assigned to lead a new PMO in an organization under a major transformation. To ensure the PMO delivers value to a diverse group of internal stakeholders across departments, you need a structured way to understand and represent their different needs, expectations, and pain points. What is the most appropriate action to take at this stage? So before we look at the options, let us identify the triggered words here. We have a new PMO. We have a major transformation. We have diverse internal stakeholders, and the goal is to understand their needs, which are different, expectations, and pain points. So already this sounds like a customer understanding and PMO design question. This is not yet about execution, audit, budgeting, or vendor management. Now let's look at the options one by one. So option A, define the PMO's annual budget to allocate resources efficiently. This sounds reasonable from a management perspective because every PMO eventually needs a budget. But in this question, the issue is not funding yet. The question is asking how to understand different stakeholder needs and expectations. If we jump directly to the budget before understanding customers, we may allocate resources to the wrong services. So option A is not the best answer at this stage. Develop customers' persona to tailor services to different stakeholder groups. So this is a very strong option. Customer personas help the PMO to understand different stakeholder groups. For example, executives may need visibility in the scene support. Project managers may need guidance and tools. Functional managers may need resource clarity. Sponsors may need risk and benefit visibility. So personas help the PMO move from generic service design to tailored PMO services. At this point, this option looks very strong, but let's look at the other options available. So option C is conduct a compliance audit of current project portfolio. This may be useful in some situations, especially if the organization has governance or compliance concern, but this question is not asking about compliance. It is asking how to understand stakeholders' needs and expectations. A compliance audit may tell us where rules are not being followed, but it does not fully explain what different PMO customers need from the PMO. So option C is too narrow, too control oriented for this scenario. With that, let's look at the next option. D, negotiate contracts with external vendors to support project delivery. This option is not aligned with the question. Vendor contracts may become relevant later if the PMO needs external support tools or consulting services. But at this stage, the PMO first needs to understand internal stakeholders and design services around their needs. So option D is not the best option. So based on the trigger words and option review, what answer would you select? Drop A, B, C, or D in the chat, and I will wait before I reveal the correct answer. There you go. So the correct answer is B, develop customer personas to tailor services to different stakeholder groups. This is the best answer because the PMO must first understand its customers before designing services. The exam takeaway is this. When a question mentions diverse stakeholders, varying needs, expectations, customer groups, services, tailoring or pain points, think about customer personas, need assessment, and customer-centric PMO design. This is the domain 3 thinking PMO design and structuring. The PMO does not start with templates, it starts with customers. So, guys, we reviewed one question and I kind of walked you through how to tackle the questions in exam because, you know, nothing is wrong in all these 4 options in terms of from what we do at PMO. It is very important for you to understand the question, understand the key ask in the question, and then tackle it. So I hope that helped. I'm just going to quickly show you the rest of the questions for sake of time and not really actually wait and talk through all questions because we have only 10 minutes left and we have some more slides to cover. So I will quickly show you all the questions. Take your time. Once we post this video on YouTube, you can then skip through. I'll show you questions so you can pause, rewatch, and practice with us later on in the when the video is posted on YouTube. So let's look at the next question. Option A, B, C, D, and the correct option. With that, let's move to the next question. You can pause the video at this point, understand the question, understand the keywords, try to connect it, which domain we are talking about here, and then look at option A, B, C, 3D, and here is your correct answer. Pause here. Option 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you're watching the recording and not in the live session, you can pause here, note down the correct answer, and then look at the correct answer. So guys, now that we have walked through the PMI-PMOCP certification, the exam shortcut, the mindset, the 6 ACO domains, the PMO lifecycle, and few exam style questions, I want to bring this back to your next steps. Today was the introduction. The full SNS PMI-PMOCP program is where we take this learning much deeper and turn it into a structured preparation journey. In the full program, you're not just getting slides or recordings, you are getting complete support system, 6 guided modules, expert instruction, practice questions, mock exam preparation, application support, coaching, and access to tools that help you study with structure and confidence. This is especially important for PMI PMOCP because the exam is not about memorizing terms, it's about thinking like a PMO professional. You need to understand customer needs, strategy, governance, service design, operations performance, value realization, and people leadership. Our next live class is starting soon, and that is a great opportunity for everyone who is serious about moving from today's orientation to full preparation. The upcoming 3-day live class is scheduled for August 14 to August 16. During the live class, we will go deeper into each module, explain the exam mindset, review practical examples, discuss PMO scenarios, and help you connect the ECHO to real PMO leadership situations. You will also receive support beyond the class through practice tools, mock exam, preparation, application guidance, and study support. So the message is simple. Do not wait until you feel perfectly ready. Readiness is built through structure, practice, and guidance. PMI, PMOCP can be an important credential for professionals who want to grow into PMO leadership transformation, leadership, governance, service design, and value realization roles. For questions or enrollment, you can contact SNS CCS through the email and WhatsApp shown on the slide. We would be happy to guide you, answer your question, and help you decide whether the next class is right step for your PMO leadership journey. Your PMO leadership journey starts with one decision: move from interest to action. So here is the next upcoming class. If you go to snsccs.com, our next live PMOCP class schedule for August 14 to 16 is shown here. This is a screenshot from our website to help you understand how you see it. It is a 3-day live virtual class running Friday through Sunday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. This is designed for professionals who want to structure their studies. This is instructor-led preparation path instead of trying to figure out everything alone. During the class, we'll go deeper into the PMI-PMOCP framework, the acrodomains, exam mindset, scenario-based questions, PMO value thinking, and practical tools needed to prepare with confidence. The current flash sale price shown is 1,000 USD, and the seats are limited. So if PMI PMO CP feels like the right next step, bear with me for a second, guys. So if PMI PMOCP looks like the right next step for you, please connect and enroll for the class. So, guys, before we close today's session, I want to open the floor for your question. Feel free to type any questions in the chat box so I can answer them. You can ask about PMI, PMOCP certification, eligibility, exam structure, study approach, the main domains, PMO career direction, or upcoming SNS live class in August. This is also a good time to ask anything specific about your own situation, or whether your experience may qualify, how to prepare if you're coming from a project management background, or how PMI PMO CP can support your move into the PMO leadership. Please drop your questions in the chat and I will answer as many as I can. If your question is very specific to your career path or application, you can also contact us directly after the session. On our website, snsccs.com, there is a schedule option available to book a free 15-minute session with me if you want to ask any questions outside the session. So as a reminder, the next live PMO CP class is scheduled for August 14 to August 16 from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Let's take a few questions. So I will pause here. Just a disclaimer, please read it through. Alrighty, so with that, I will close today's session. Thank you so very much for joining, guys. It's always a pleasure to meet you and learn more about your career aspirations. Thank you very much for joining and have a great day ahead.